All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Side Quest Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Fitocracy. If you're not following us on Twitter, check us out at SideQuestFM. You can also find us on Instagram as well at SideQuestFM. And head over to Facebook, like us there. Just search up in the top bar, Side Quest Podcast. You can find us and like us there. Share all of the guests that come on. Let your friends know the awesome things we're doing. Again, you can find the website and all the podcasts at sidequestfitness.com/podcast. Or you can still use the old address, SideQuest Podcast, and still get there. I have a great guest today, a fun-loving guy that I enjoy following on Twitter. He's a coach on Fitocracy. He has done some writing for some publications out there. Mainly one of the ones I know of is BroBible.com. And anything called BroBible sounds like an awesome site to follow. But he is a fitness coach living in the wonderful, wonderful hot Atlanta before the zombie apocalypse. So luckily he's training people for when it happens that they can all survive. And hopefully people do smart things like go to Walmart and stock up on ammunition. Like, how are you the sheriff? How are you the sheriff of this, like, and you don't know where the crazy gun guy is where you could stock up on stuff, and where's the nearest Walmart? Like, come on! Like, I don't understand this world. Anyways, I have the great and illustrious Tanner Baze. Tanner, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. I enjoy it. That was a hell of an intro, for sure. That was fantastic.
Well, I figured talking about The Walking Dead is better than talking about the god-awful television show my wife was into for the longest time, and I watched one episode, and I was like, the premise of this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but it's also shot in Atlanta, and that show is Drop Dead Diva.
Oh, yeah. Some of those girls actually come into the gym I train at from time to time.
Nice.
We actually set up like a membership thing for them. So those girls come in. They used to come in all the time. I don't even think that show.
I think the show's off the air now. It made no sense. It made no sense whatsoever.
No.
I don't want to go into it because it's kind of a shallow thing, but it really was. I was like, I don't really agree with this, but all right, whatever. Atlanta doesn't get enough love, and Atlanta's a beautiful, beautiful city. I had a great time at a theater conference in Atlanta once. Though I do have to say, driving on 85, it's awful.
Dude.
You know what? New York City was easier.
Atlanta, getting around here, like dealing with the traffic is just, it's absurd. Like, I'm originally from Texas. I grew up in Texas, went to college in Texas. My family just moved out here like 6 years ago, and I didn't see them a whole lot, so wanted to come join them. And you're right about Atlanta not getting enough love because you never, and I think Atlantans, like native Atlantans, are actually like, they get kind of pissed off about that. But it's like, it's such a transient city that they're like, it's almost like anybody you run into here, the question is like, so where are you originally from?
Yeah.
So, but the traffic here, man, it blows. It is absolutely god-awful. So I do everything in my power to avoid the traffic here.
It was an interesting experience, I have to say, because the cheapest hotels were outside of the city, and I was like, oh. Now it was also probably the worst time to be there for this theater conference because it was also the same time that the SEC championship was going on.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
I was 5 feet away from Joakim Noah, and I was like, ooh, you are a very tall dude.
That's crazy.
Really tall. Oh, dude, when I went to Carolina basketball camp, I met Julius Peppers. Like, he sold me a pizza one night. And I was like, you, sir, if you were coming down the basketball lane, I would just be like, oh, right this way, sir. Here's the baskets.
Let me roll out the red carpet for you, Mr. Peppers.
Excuse me, let me make an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, might I introduce Mr. Julius Peppers? Like, the dude was huge in college. Like, I can't imagine how much bigger he got.
Oh, I know. Especially getting into the pros, like where now, like, you have an entire team of people dedicated to you, like, to making sure that you are at the top. So I can't imagine how much more of a behemoth he is.
Yeah, I would probably even more so now be like, I don't want to buy a pizza from you because
Yeah,
you're intimidating.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, so how did you? So you grew up in Texas. Were you an athlete? I mean, football's. I'm assuming you at some point played football. Football in Texas is kind of like peanut butter and jelly as Americans.
Yeah.
Like it's just you. Everyone at some point plays football. So did you grow up an athlete? Were you a former fat kid? Like, what is your story?
I actually, like, you could call me a former fat kid just because I was fat from like fourth through sixth grade. But I I feel like there's a lot of guys who can relate to that, and then like puberty works its magic, and all of a sudden you're not fat anymore. So
Well, not all of us. Some of us kept. Actually, most everyone caught up with me. I have to be honest, but I still was a little pudgy. I was just lazy. Lazy.
okay, yeah. So we all have the things that come and get us. But I really wasn't like a former fat kid or anything like that. I actually where I grew up in Texas, I grew up in like BFE, no middle of nowhere, Texas, near the Oklahoma border. And like an hour outside of Dallas. I went to a really, really, really small school. I mean, I graduated high school with like 68 people, and
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, right close to us, there were some bigger schools and whatnot, but like, you know, like all of my family was right there, like grandparents, great grandparents on both sides. Everybody, everybody's right there. So like going to a really, really small school like that, um, the friends that I grew up with, like we all played every single sport there was. I mean, so football season, yes, you play football. There's like absolutely, that's just a given. Like the movie Friday Night Lights really does a good job of depicting how some communities like truly do shut down on a Friday night. So we sucked. So we didn't get all of that awesome glory, but that truly does happen. I mean, like it's so crazy that I live 1,000 miles away, and I was still checking in on what was happening in the state championship this past year.
Wow.
So played like basketball, baseball, played a lot of golf. Still try and play a decent amount of golf. I just don't get to play near as much as I'd like to. Um, you could say I ran track. Really, I participated maybe for just a little while. Like it was more so one of those things like we were required to, and then during that season, like I hated it. But yeah, no, I've always been a pretty active dude. Like just throughout the year, I've always had things going on, whether it be sports or whatever.
So how did that translate into getting into into fitness? I mean, you're an active person, and I don't want to say that as you're an active guy and you get into college, you're like, all right, I gotta lift the weights, ladies. Because when you get into college, like you're driven by two things, your dick and your dick.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's
At least
so
for guys.
true.
Ladies that are listening, I don't know what you're driven by, but that's just me as a male.
That is that is like the clearest insight into the like college aged male mind that there will ever be. Like you are driven by your dick. That's it. No, no. The way it actually happened is like I was always really into like I enjoyed working out and whatnot. In high school and everything, being in a small place like that, you didn't really get like top quality coaching or anything
Right.
like that to how you should work out or anything. Um, but even then, like in college, really early on, like I would work out with friends and whatnot, and like I got a little big in college. Like I'm not a big dude. I'm like 5'9", so like 180 pounds on me, if it's not a good 180 pounds, can look really fluffy. So
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, if you're anywhere close to like 5'8", 5'9", you get that.
Yep.
But then I actually got a job at a GNC. Um, was waiting tables and whatnot, and then got a job at a GNC to help open the store. Turns out it was with this really, really awesome franchisee who was just like kicking ass in that region of Texas. So it was a really cool experience to learn under her. But I was like most of my original like education into health and fitness and all that was as brotastic as it could possibly be because it was reading like supplement advertisements, muscle and fitness, like bodybuilding based magazines. Like I remember easily like looking at the clock and saying, "Shit, it's been 3 hours. Time for me to eat." Like so that like picked up, and then like I was continually working out, read a ton because I just loved it. Like did a little informal training with friends and whatnot, and then decided, you know what, like this is what I love to do. I'm gonna make it a thing, and started doing it in person. Had some success with it, and then at the same time, I was reading a whole lot of stuff from John Goodman from the PTDC,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like a no-brainer. Of course, I need to start a fitness blog. Of course, I need to like be branching out into every avenue possible. Especially because a lot of the people that I work with in person, like the other coworkers that I have as trainers, none of them were doing anything like that. So it was like okay, I can easily get one step ahead of you people and really brand myself as an expert in this community. So that's kind of what led to where I'm at currently.
Okay. So I read that you worked at GNC, and I kind of had a question on that. So a lot of times it just feels a little sleazy,
Yeah,
like when you go in or when you read some of that stuff. And supplements, like I think people immediately think, okay, I'm gonna start lifting weights. I'm gonna get in shape. I've got to go get protein. I've got to get this. I've got like you don't need those things. Like there's a
no,
reason they're called supplements. It's like working a second job on the weekend for Uber to supplement your income. You
yeah,
maybe you need it, maybe you don't. It just might make getting out of debt easier,
yes,
or whatever your goal is. Um, and especially if you're eating like 200 plus grams of protein, sometimes you just don't want to eat 12, 16 ounces of chicken a day. Uh,
exactly.
so what is the one thing you learned or that you kind of like when you were at GNC and as you kind of moved out that you went, oh man, they're really good at selling this, or like they're really kind of sleazy at like the marketing of like supplements.
Yeah, a couple of things I picked up like really, really early on. One was it's amazing. Like, if you work or you like keep your ear to the ground in fitness, if you've done it for long enough, you can really pick out like bullshit marketing pretty easily. But it's amazing how well bullshit marketing works on the average person. Um, like fat burners are just one of the biggest scams there is.
Oh,
You could spend $75 to $80 a bottle easy on a fat burner, and in reality, like it's not going to do you any good. But the words that are used and the pictures that are used sell it really, really well. Another thing I picked up on, and like, don't get me wrong, I was very competitive as far as selling wise. I really enjoyed seeing like the numbers come in throughout the state of Texas and seeing like where I would rank.
hmm.
But you do figure out really early on that if you're honest with people and you kind of let them know, like, yeah, like keep in mind, like the root word or like the root definition of supplement is it's supplementing what you're doing. So you don't need these things.
Right.
These things will do you good in some way, but they're not necessary by any means. And then if you give people a level of comfort and kind of help steer them in the right direction, people can then, like, they're your person for life, and they come in and they check on you and they see how you're doing and that sort of thing. And I think that goes with anything in life. But I mean, it was just really apparent there. It just sucks that, in such a large company like that, and with some supplement stores in general, there's very few people you'll run into who have that kind of mindset. So
Yeah, that's pretty true. I here in Richmond, Vitamin Shop is kind of, I think they have like a big warehouse that's here, so that's kind of like the big one. Like there's a few GNCs, and I actually I prefer ordering from bodybuilding.com. But
you and
guys,
I
if you're
both.
listening, and I know I've emailed once or twice on this, you got to bring that shipping cost down. Like
Yeah,
that's what kills me every single. Like I can't shop there unless they send me like a 15 or 20% off, like you know coupon, only because by the time I pay for shipping, it would cost me less to just get in the car and go the like quarter mile to get the same stuff.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I kind of get that same thing when I go there because people are, I'm like, and I purposely will ask, be like, so I'm looking at doing this, and they kind of sell me on all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, man, do you know that you're kind of full of BS? Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
takes me back to my days when I worked at Staples, and people were like, oh, what about this computer? And I'm like, you have no clue about any of this. I'm just going to make up whatever, and you're totally going to believe me. And
Yep.
then I have to try and sell you this product replacement plan, and I really apologize for having to try to sell you this.
But it's a
But
requirement,
it's a
and I'm
requirement.
made to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, I could sell computers really well, but mostly when I was wasted at work. Your boss shows up and he's like, "Let's get wasted." All right, I'm a
Well,
college kid. Why not?
and that was like, for me, like, I never worked with anybody. I didn't have coworkers there. Like, it was just me in the store.
That's the thing, is it's really rare if you go into like a GNC that you ever see two people in there.
Exactly. So, like, it was nothing to, like, wake up and either be still drunk or, like, massively hungover. And, well, like, you're gonna do what you gotta do. Like, if I'm gonna, like, lay my head in, like, on the desk in the back and take a short nap, cool. I actually, no joke, like, I don't know, probably a year into it, we still didn't have security cameras in the store. So, like, I laid down on the counter behind the register, and I fell asleep and woke up to a customer tapping me on the forehead. So, yeah, I mean, but it was a really late night the night before, and I had to open on a Sunday morning, so, like, I was gonna catch some sleep wherever I could.
I could one up you on that. You know what? I'm gonna make it public. I don't really care. So
Do it, do it. You've already gone this far.
I got fired from Staples by doing something slightly stupid, but really kind of hilarious. And it's more hilarious when I get to the end and explain what happens now. So I, a friend of mine was moving, and my house had run out of toilet paper, and I didn't get paid for 2 days. And my friend needed boxes, and my friend was working at Staples, and it was okay for us to go to the back and just get boxes, if we were moving and take it home. So I grabbed a bunch of boxes, threw in a couple rolls of toilet paper from the back. That is like not what we sell, but what the employees use. Like, who
Okay,
gives a
okay.
crap?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this manager who hated me because I turned her into our head manager, because she used to, like, her and her girlfriend used to go in the back and make out, and I'd be the only person on the floor with a deaf guy. Like, we had a deaf employee, and people would go up to him and they'd get really mad because he wouldn't listen to them, and like, they would tap him on the shoulder, or they'd come up to you and be like, "Hey, this guy over here's not listening." Well, that's because he's deaf. And the look on their face immediately was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm the world's worst asshole." So it's me and this guy on the floor. So I'm the only person who can actually, like, speak to people. Like, he's stocking stuff, he's doing his own thing. So I turn her in for that, and she gets written up for it. So she hates me and makes me do the most ridiculous stuff while she's on duty. So she's like, "Hey, let me see what's in that box." And she sees the toilet paper, turns me in to our boss, and he was like, "My hands are tied. There's nothing I can do. I have to fire you for stealing
What the
toilet
hell?
paper." Which is hilarious, and all my friends made fun of me for it. Now, here's the even funnier part. But if I had never stolen toilet paper, I would have never gone to that theater in Michigan and would have never met her. So, luckily, that's the best thing that ever happened.
It
But
was meant to be. You being a thief was the greatest turn in your life.
technically, I don't really know if it's a thief because it's toilet paper. It's not
Yeah,
like we
yeah,
were selling it.
yeah. Way different than stealing a computer from Staples.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Not like employees didn't do lots of things where they took tons of stuff. Toilet
Exactly.
paper was the only thing I ever took, but people found ways around things, and I'm like, all right, you're skirting the system to get a 64 gigabyte micro SD card. Fine, whatever you do your thing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
But
turning my eye.
yeah, so that's always a fun story. My friends love to bring up. But
Oh, that's a good one.
yeah. So you moved. So what moved? Like what from Austin? Because from your site I read you lived in Austin, which is a great town, by the way. Another town where the roads were not designed in the most intelligent way. Why is the exit in the middle? And why do I have to go 6 miles to get to the other end? Damn it! I want to turn around.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I actually where I went to school, Texas State University was about 20 minutes south of Austin, um, in a town called San Marcos, and it's just easier to say Austin because people can relate to that
Right.
city. They can't relate to San Marcos. Um, and I loved. I was probably outdoors while I lived there more than I ever have been in my life because Texas is a crazy state in the sense that it's got like piney woods, rolling hills, desert, hill country, and I lived in the hill country in college,
Gorgeous.
which is yeah, full of rivers and lakes and whatnot. Like what actually sold me on going to the college I went to, there's a river that runs right through the middle of it, and it's crystal clear. I mean, it can be like 12 feet deep, and you see straight to the bottom. You see fish swimming and everything. And one of the big activities is just floating the river. So you go there and you float the river and you drink. And so, like, whenever I went on my visit, I was like, well, that's where I'm going for sure. So, but no, I mean, right around that same time though, like whenever I moved there, my family moved to Atlanta, and it was because my dad took a promotion with a company here in Atlanta, and over the next few years, like I really didn't see them a ton. There was a lot of traveling. I had some sick family members and whatnot, so after a while, it just kind of made sense. Like, you know what? Like, I'm done here. I need to. I don't see you guys often. I'm gonna come out there. That's important to me right now, and that's gonna be good for me, and it's gonna be good for y'all. So it was the intelligent move at the time, and it was good for both of us. So that's what brought me out to Hotlanta. And I actually live in a city now called Peachtree City. It's the land of golf carts. Literally, it's like I'm not kidding you. It's a city of like 35,000 people, and there's 90 miles of golf cart paths inlaid throughout this city. And it's funny you brought up Walking Dead. Walking Dead films like 10 minutes away from Peachtree City.
Huh.
I mean, those actors and actresses are like they shop here. I mean, they're all over here all the time. They are community. It's weird. They are community staples.
That's interesting.
So,
Yeah, there's
Shane from The Walking Dead actually split open the heavy bag at my gym that I work at. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I love how that show's like, yeah, we're just gonna kill people every season.
Yeah.
Goodbye, person. It's like, ugh, all right, fine.
yeah, don't care.
Nope, they have no shame. So let's talk a little about your training philosophy. So you come, like you said, you kind of started with the bro science side. You're in a supplement
Yes.
store and you're reading all of these like probably crazy bro things, and then every like next magazine that comes out, you're like, but wait, the last magazine said this, and now you're saying that. Like, so you might have been a little confused. So how have you chiseled away and found your training philosophy that you believe in and teach your clients?
I mean, well, honestly, through just reading everything in the world. Like I'm a really active reader. I mean, it's a goal of mine in 2015 to knock out 60 books. So yeah, I read all the damn time. And I'm like always. That's just me. That's just kind of how it's always been. So like I've read everything from like books on paleo and Gary Taub's books to like I'm a longtime subscriber of Alan Aragon's research review and whatnot. So over time, it just kind of developed and morphed into this thing of, okay, you know what? You're right. I don't need to be scared shitless of eating some sweets and some shit foods every now and then because that's honestly going to be really good for me mentally. Um, I really don't need to worry about spending like 6 days a week in the gym doing a chest day, a shoulder day, an arm day, or anything like that. I'm an average dude who wants to look better whenever I take my shirt off, and for the most part, I think that's how the general population what they want, what they're looking to get out of diet and training. They're not looking to turn into like some top level bodybuilder or anything like that. So, it started to mix. I'm a big fan of circuit training, specifically like using circuit training with strength lifts. So like squatting and deadlifting and bench pressing and things like that. But incorporating those into a circuit. So not only is it taxing as far as like your actual muscles working, but it sends your heart rate through the roof. And that's, I really do try and send clients through that and have them train that way because, every single client I have, the goal is fat loss. Right. And not everybody has time to strength train for 4 to 5 sessions a week and then add in some cardio and whatnot. So we need to make use of our time as efficiently as we can. And that's kind of where that led to because, most people like to enjoy their lives outside of the gym. Yes, I work in fitness and write about fitness and read about it, but that's not all that there is to life. So I do like to get in and out of there as quickly as I can. So
you make a great point about that it's not the only thing, which is hard for me because I have an 8 to 5 where I would rather be I just have a few more months. I have senioritis already. I'm already like, I want to go. I want to get out of here. I hate you, stupid bank.
Yeah.
I want to work on the podcast. I want to work on like blog posts. I want to get the thing that I want to do, coaching online and working in a gym going. It's just, damn it, I have to have health insurance and pay the bills while my wife's in school. So it's like, So how do you keep up with doing the things you want to do and finding time to read while also writing? Because you write like almost every other day. I see you posting on Twitter. You're like an article. Are you a writing machine? Like, how do you live your life? Still run all of this.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, yeah, and I promise you'll figure this out. Like, if you are working in a gym that, like, like I have a lot of friends who are like, they have set work schedules. They work this block of time.
Right.
They don't have to worry about work outside of that. You can technically set your own schedule, but you're going to work when the clients are going to work. So, right. You wind up with a lot of dead time during the middle of the day. And that time allows me to get a lot done. I also wake up really, really early. About 4 to 5 days a week, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. And it started out of necessity to meet clients at 5:30. I actually tried like rolling out of bed and going the first couple of times, but that's just unfair to them because I'm not mentally there. So that hour in the morning where it's just like drinking coffee and doing whatever, like that allows me to get a lot done. I do write a ton. You're right. And that's actually something that's just picked up way more recently, in the past few months. So I still am trying to figure out how in the world, like, how I can manage to fit all of that in. I will tell you, the weekends are a godsend, especially like Sundays or Saturdays. That time, just because it does allow me to get quite a bit done. I mean, I try and like daily, I usually have a goal to, even if what I put down on paper is complete shit, to get about 1,000 words down, and then come back and look over it the next day and refine and pick out and add to and whatnot. So that does allow me to. It seems like it's super prolific. At times that process can be 10 minutes. At other times I might spend what feels so. And reading, it's just been something that that I've always enjoyed. So it's more so a habit for me. If I have downtime, it's nothing for me to like pick up my iPad and pick up where I left off on the book that I'm currently going through. So that's just more. You'd be shocked how much you can knock out with 15 minutes in between clients. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have the world's worst ADHD. I was working I had the mandatory overtime. Don't even get me started on that. More reasons why I hate this stupid bank. Like, don't mandate things to me. I have a life outside of here. Mandatory. Anyways, rant over. I came home from work on Saturday, and I'm like, I'm going to work on the blog. I'm going to do all this. And the next thing I know, I'm like, I'm typing. Ooh, I have an idea. This would be a great idea. Okay, start a new post. Like 200 words in. Ooh, no, like my ideas are going all over the place. And the next thing I know, I'm like, all right, fine. I'm gonna drink some wine and I'll really focus. Nope. And I'm trying to focus. For the last 3 weeks, I've got up at 5 a.m. every single morning. And even on the weekends, my wife's like, no, come back, cuddle, I want to snuggle. No, I got to work. Like, I got stuff I got to do. But like, I get up and I try to start working, and then I find like within half an hour or 20 minutes in, either I end up looking at Reddit, oops,
yeah,
or I get immediately blocked mentally, and I start it's really hard for me to sit down and focus because I want to say so much, but I know I got to be concise, and then ideas go here, and I feel like it's kind of like fuck around-itis in the gym. That's just kind of what I'm doing, and I'm trying to figure out, how to write and be better. Reading would be a big thing for me. I suck at reading.
Yeah. Oh, dude. See, and that's like, I completely, I can't empathize with people when they tell me that, just because that's just always been who I am. But I can understand from the sense that like we all get into like a book that we hate, or like, like just different points where we're like, God, just get me away from this. I can't read right now. Like, and that happens to us all. Like, one thing writing wise that I actually found, like, I read a lot of John Romanilla's work. That dude is somebody who I look at and I'm like, man, I would just love to be where he's at.
He's the inspiration for me getting into this whole thing. Like,
yeah,
his book is the reason I like got into the gym and got into fitness and started reading everything.
Oh man, and the thing is, like, the more you read into his stuff, it's just like, it's not only do you come away feeling like you've actually learned something, but it's entertaining as shit. So, and he put out a product, an information product with like Lou Schuler and like Jason Ferrugia, and if that's how you say his name, and like Craig Ballantyne and some others, and it's like how to write and get published in the fitness industry. It's like $100, and I like last summer or something I decided to buy it, and that actually wound up being a really, really helpful resource for me. So writing wise, it's just something like it's almost like you don't even understand it until you do it. Like, you're just gonna suck at it forever, and then like one day you like it'll almost seem like it hits you that you don't suck near as bad as you used to, but you still suck. Like there are so many things that I look at and I'm like, man, that was god awful.
Yeah. The thing is
So,
like I know I'm not. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Like I'm not a bad writer. Like I wrote some pretty kick-ass wedding vows. Like not gonna lie. Um, and then I
okay.
wrote a pretty awesome speech, best man speech for a wedding I was in November. And pretty much it was an entire Star Wars reference because the guy was like my Chewbacca in college. Like we were always drinking together.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and like he's a firefighter, so I like tied in like him fighting fires and like the Wookiee code and all that stuff. It was really awesome, and my wife was like, "You know, you're a really good writer." And I'm like, "Then why can't I write blog posts and like not, like?" So John actually did a Q&A on Facebook the other night, and I feel weird sometimes when I'm the first one to comment on things that he does, and I'm like, I'm not stalking
I
you.
swear I'm not.
But I was like, listen, someone who's getting into this, what's the one piece of advice you would give? And he's like, dude, many people are paying for the same services that all of us, we're all giving the same service, but people are paying for coaches. So be you, always be
Yeah,
yourself. And I think that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, how do I be myself? Which I think is why I want to do slightly more video stuff because I can be more ridiculous because I have no shame and I get to use my crazy theater creative side. So, it's figuring out like how to to be concise and not. I'm not a scientist. I'm not Greg Knuckles, but I got to shut
exactly.
up
Yeah.
and learn my role. Uh,
Yeah, I think that's really valuable because like there, if you like pay attention to a lot of what's going on, like it's really really easy to lose track of like what it is that you're trying to do
yeah,
and like who you are. Like that happens to me all the damn time. And that's what like I am not Greg Knuckles. I am not Lane Norton. That's just not gonna be who I am. Like
yeah,
and but by God, like I'm gonna read and learn from those dudes and hopefully distill it down to what normal what normal people hope to learn and understand. And for some people the best medium is video and for others it's not. But yeah, it's just kind of like John Goodman said once, like people are gonna buy trainers, they're not gonna buy training, and I think that is so damn true because people want to be able to have fun and enjoy their life and not feel like it's the most serious effing thing in the world all the time. And I think that's really valuable to people. It really is. If they can have fun and joke about Star Wars, then by God, they're probably going to enjoy that person way more than somebody who's like as serious and screaming at them all the time.
Well, and that's you'll see some stuff from me in the next little bit when I post on Twitter. Once I finally get this done and get some video editing done, like I said, my ADHD just takes over.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do all this when my wife is out of town and can use her computer because when I'm not, I'm having to do it on a really small Chromebook, and it's like, ugh, Chromebook, you're really tiny,
Yeah.
and you think
Yeah.
everything's mobile. But anyways, we're gonna talk a little Star Wars because we're both giant Star Wars geeks. And
Sweet.
as you just said, people are they're paying for coaches, and they want coaches that they can connect with and coaches they can find. Um, some sort of similarity to like the reason I fell in love with John Romanello is there's always been like a frat side of me. Like I always wanted to be like growing up. Unfortunately, I was Screech. Let's be honest. Um, I wanted to be Zach. I wanted to be Zach Morris. There was a part of me that was like, I'll take the body of AC Slater, but I want the cool like Zach
Yeah.
Morris.
Yeah. Yeah. He's so relaxed. He's so chill. Zach was the man.
Yeah, but no, unfortunately, I grew up socially awkward and Screech. But anyways, so like when I read him, I was like, okay, so he's kind of a bro, which kind of appeals to that side. Oh, he listens to emo music and he loves Star
Yeah.
Wars, and
Yeah.
like, like, uh, I'm not alone in the world. So I think you're right that people are looking for that. And I was
Yes.
looking at your coaching page the other day while working on mine to send off to Fitocracy, which I'm hoping to get going here in mid March.
Oh,
But
dude. Hopefully it comes on quickly.
I am hoping so because wedding season starts in June, and you boys who are looking to get into shape for wedding season, I'm your guy. I was there last
Dude,
year.
oh, see, that's perfect. As far as I know, there's not anybody doing anything like that on there.
I mean,
So,
the name of the class is called Nothing Suits You Like a Suit. Lots
oh,
of How I
that's
Met Your Mother
good.
references.
Oh,
Uh, so
that
hopefully
was
that
good.
hopefully that gets launched here in March. But I was looking at your page, just kind of looking at sales pages and whatnot, and I laugh hysterically at all of your Star Wars references. Uh, so is that how you connect with your clients? Like, are you really an uber geek deep down? Like, what is your geek side?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, that is absolutely how I do connect with clients. Like, either in person clients or clients that I work with through Fitocracy will tell you that like, it is absolutely very much so like we will be geeky. I have a client who shares her word of the day with me and whatnot that like she does at work, and yeah, there's a ton of Star Wars references made, and right through writing that sales page, like there was a little bit of paralysis by analysis for me, like in looking through other people's sales pages, I kept seeing shit, and I was like, man, like yeah, like but I'm just not like the dude who's gonna tell you like yeah, ripped abs and like bulging biceps or things like that. Like I enjoy lifting as heavy as possible, and I love that feeling, and I enjoy working my ass off. But yeah, like I do have a geeky side. Like I am. Anybody that knows me, especially my family, constantly ridicules me for like I'm a wealth of completely useless information. Like, absolutely, I mean, absurdly bad. I took great pride in how dominant I was at the game Trivia Crack. I mean, until I had to delete it from my phone because it was getting too bad. Like, I love Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and like The Hobbit is probably my top three favorite books of all time. And so yeah, there's like a major and listens to emo music, like you said. I mean, freaking dude, Taking Back Sunday, like
Dude, that was my jam. Adam Lazario went to my high school for a couple of years
really?
before yeah, he dropped out of Trinity High School. His family is still in Trinity, uh, or at least I think they're still there. And I met him once at a Warp Tour, and I was like the last person. Like they cut off before me, and they're like, "All right, the guy in front of you gets the last autograph." I was like, "Look, Adam went to my high school. Can I please just say hi?" And she was like, "All right," so she let me in.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
and I was like, hey, I just want to say that it's really awesome that someone from Trinity is doing something really awesome and playing music. I never got to meet him. That would have been cool, but yeah,
Yeah,
he dropped out and um, you know
dude, that's so cool. See, yeah, like that and I think it's like loving emo music. I'm a big music fan in general. Like I have the most weird music tastes in existence because it's very easy for me to slip from like listening to Taking Back Sunday or listening to like dirty Houston rap like UGK and like stuff that people that honestly like the first time my girlfriend heard it she was like you listen to this stuff so yeah, having like really weird interests and whatnot and playing those up to people, that is absolutely how I connect with clients because I feel like it does very early on kind of break down barriers with people. It makes them feel like they can be more open with me. And that's, obviously in the end, that's what we're looking for.
yeah I'm my big point with coaching with my coaching is that I want people to use their imagination. So if you
Mhm.
can't really connect with like lifting weights, then if a dumbbell bench press seems kind of intimidating or you don't like it, just imagine there's a zombie falling on you and you got to get that zombie off.
Yeah, that's really good. That's actually that's actually really really good.
I actually have a great video that will soon go up again when I get through my ADHD. Showing some of my 5 favorite exercises to use your imagination with. So you'll see
Oh,
that on
dude,
Twitter.
that would be excellent to watch. Like
Yeah, Yeah, no, I'm working on all of that, but again, I get distracted by my thoughts. That's the problem, which is why I just need to focus. But anyways, all right, so let's talk a little Star Wars. Well, I'm going to wind down because we've been going for close to an hour here, and I try to keep it at an hour or under. I
Cool.
haven't heard anyone say yet, please shut up and just do like 30 minutes. Um, so,
So
so
we're good
you
news.
you pitched the Jedi side of fitness. Um, so I have to ask you, why the Jedi?
Oh man. Because of complete mastery of the fitness force. That's why the Jedi. I feel like if somebody is a Jedi of fitness, they have mastered being able to eat for their goals. They've mastered being able to work out for their goals. And you know what? They've had to go through some trials and tribulations to get to that point.
Okay, all right. So okay, I see that. See, I'm a little more a fan of the Sith. I love the Sith code. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall free me. That to me is so more like lifting weights, raw, hardcore.
Yeah,
Uh,
I might have to go work out right now. That was
I just,
that was,
well, and that's it's so. At some point, I read a great article by Tony Gentlecore, and at the fitness summit, if I get to meet him, I want to have this conversation with him. Is Are the Sith as bad as we think? Because we are presented as Obi-Wan mentions this, a certain point of view. From a certain point of view, we're presented that the Sith are evil, but maybe they're just misunderstood and not if we see them from a different point of view. That's, like maybe they're not so bad.
See, I think you're spot on there. They're definitely not as bad as we think they are. If you strike out the whole Anakin killing children thing, um,
Well, okay, yeah.
yeah, that's an outlier. You can't, no. I mean, in reality, they're just doing what any of us do. They're working for what their goal and what they want. And honestly, you can't really blame them for that. Not to mention their lightsabers are always the coolest. Darth Maul's dual wielding lightsaber was freaking excellent. How in the world he managed to wind up losing that battle, I don't know, but at least he took out Qui-Gon Jinn. It, the Sith, they're not the worst, and they're not as bad as they're portrayed to be. That's for sure. I completely
I mean,
agree.
you need a bad guy in a film. I get it.
Yeah,
But I've always thought that we in a way are from a certain point of view we view the Sith as bad, but I think it would be interesting to do a Star Wars film where the Sith are sort of like how they redid Halloween, which at first I was kind of pissed off about because I was like,
mhm,
no, it's a horror film. Like I shouldn't feel for Mike Myers. I should
yeah,
just be terrified of him.
yeah.
But the prequels kind of make you feel for Darth Vader.
Yes, they
But
do. They do a very good job of that, actually.
well, I could argue with that. Like the third film, I felt like it was like, okay, here's this, and then all of a sudden he's bad. There was no like real conflict. It was like all of a sudden, okay, I'm just
You're
gonna go to this side.
you're very right in that sense. It's more so. I say that, I guess, just because like they did make me consider a point that I had never come across at all, honestly. Like even in Return of the Jedi, I hadn't ever really considered, well, maybe like how did Anakin wind up this way? So it did make me wind up kind of I shouldn't say sympathizing, but just feeling for Darth Vader a little bit. Way more than I ever had. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like. I don't know. I kind of liked not knowing his story. Um, there is a guy online, and then even Topher Grace like cut all three of them together as like one film, and supposedly it is like it's actually really good and it
Really?
makes sense. Yeah, but he can't show it. Like he was only able to show it to some friends at like a small theater. But he
Huh.
talks about it, and people say, yeah, it made the prequels. Like if the prequels had been this, they could have been one film, and it would have been awesome.
Huh.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the I don't know. I wanted. He's a whiny kid whose mom died. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
He's got
yeah,
to be more like. You can't present this evil, horrible person, and really he's just an angsty teenager. Like, damn
yeah.
it!
No, no, not at all. Especially like like he's a spoiled teenager and he's whiny, but at the same time, like his control of the force is so freaking great. Like I don't like that. I don't like that mashup. I don't like that at
Well,
all.
the
So
the other thing that always kind of weirded me out is I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The only person who ever force chokes anyone, technically, this happened before Episode 3 in the first Clone Wars series, which I think was fantastic as an
okay.
animated series, way better than the crap that's on
Yeah.
now that makes me want to stab my eyes with a soldering iron. Um, is, Mace Windu force chokes Grievous, and that's why Grievous has that cough.
Okay.
Mace Windu was a badass because Mace Windu had some dark side powers.
He
And
did.
also,
He did.
a Jedi mind trick is kind of a dick move. That's not very peaceful Jedi. That's Sith. Just
No,
saying.
it so is. It so is. And Mace Windu by far and away my favorite for sure because he does have a little bit of both. And I feel like for people to be great, they really need some of that. They need a little bit of a Jedi and a little bit of a Sith in them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I also thought it was also weird that like Yoda knows all this stuff, but somehow
Yeah.
is like come on. You can't
Yeah.
like you give me a Yoda movie where like he experiments and does something really awful and like Yoda is like hot like Dagobah is the reason it's Dagobah because Yoda screwed up doing
Yeah.
something dark side-ish. Uh,
Yeah. When Yoda was like 200 years old.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that episode 7 is as awesome as I expect. I
I
hope
was just about to ask you that. Yeah.
um I I think it is in good hands. And when Kevin Smith says himself that I went to the set, I saw this, which by the way, I'm going to link that in the show notes because anyone who's listening, if you've not seen the 17-minute speech where Kevin Smith talks about going to the set of Star Wars and how it happened, it's hilarious and it's
Yeah.
awesome. And you want like you get drawn into it and you're like you can feel the passion. He's like, when I took a step on the Millennium Falcon, all of a sudden I was like 17, and then I took one more step and I was 8, and he's like, I
Yeah.
just started weeping, like weeping uncontrollably. And the security guard is like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, I don't know what he was like. It was beautiful. All I can say is it's going to be amazing."
Oh,
So
dude,
that's what
I really can't. I really, really do hope they do a good job. And from everything that I've heard, it sounds like they really are. It even sounds like the way they're shooting it, or the way they're doing the stunts, or something like that. They're going way back to like the original
like
episode
couple of
4.
props, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which I feel like that's an excellent choice on their part. I'm
Cool.
really happy about that.
Well, just a couple of fun questions that I always love to ask guests. What is your guilty pleasure track that you would shamefully admit you listen to while working out?
Um, or actually, it's No Doubt because Gwen Stefani wasn't doing her solo career yet. No Doubt, Don't Speak. I freaking love that song. I will also completely shamelessly jam TLC. That's for sure. I
Okay.
actually work out to a lot of R&B. But
Okay.
don't ask me why. I just enjoy that.
Okay. All right. So we've talked Star Wars, and it's totally okay if you just say Jedi. But if you could be one superhero, all right, and you could have one power, what power would that be?
So, well, you actually saw this because you commented on it today. You know, who's the most athletic superhero was a question I put up on my Facebook page today. And I am so biased here because Batman has been my favorite since I was 3 or 4 years old. I'm like die hard Batman fan. I actually worked out in a Batman shirt today. So, but for this question, I'm going to completely exclude all normal human beings with billions of dollars at their disposal, and I'm going to go with Wolverine. Wolverine is by far and away number 2 in the terms of in my superhero pantheon. So I freaking Wolverine. It's like Batman 1A, Wolverine 1B to me.
Okay. All right. Well, Tanner, thank you so much for coming on. I've had an awesome, awesome time. If people want to know more about you, where can they find you online? Where can they read some of your great articles that you write?
So, and by the way, thank you, man. This has been awesome. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. They can find me at tannerbaze.com. Generally, everything I write winds up getting put up there. I also do blog for BroBible. I'm one of their 2 fitness writers. And I'm working on adding all of the stuff that I write for BroBible and putting it on my own site. I actually did just get accepted to write for Elite Daily, which is a pretty big publication for whiny millennials like myself. That's like who they go after. So that I haven't started writing for them yet, but that should be fun. People can find me on Facebook at Tanner Baze Fitness, and they can find me on Twitter just at DTBaze. So it's Baze, which most people don't seem to get. But yeah, man, anywhere there, that's where people can find me.
Awesome. Well, I enjoy all the articles that you write, and your the way you connect them to a lot of things. And I've enjoyed this. This has been awesome, talking Star Wars, talking about working at GNC, me getting fired for stealing toilet paper. Lots of great stories in this episode. So Tanner,
thoroughly enjoyable. Thanks, man.